So my question to Lucio is, I would like to know the position of your group, and I'd like to know your thoughts on what effect this will have on Palm Springs real estate, and where you are and where you think this is all going to lead us.
Thank you, Marshall. First of all, I want to say good morning, everyone, and thank you to WCR for providing an educational platform on what really is an important issue, not just in Palm Springs, but the entire Coachella Valley. It's important to talk about these things. And the reason why it's important is because there are people on both sides of this issue, and then there are many that don't quite know what side of the issue they should be on. And this is why this is important, because we have to really thoroughly talk about this entire process and what it means and what potentially it could mean. First of all, I am a full-time realtor, but more importantly, today here, sitting up here, I'm sitting here representing 1,100 members of the Palm Springs Regional Association of Realtors, and therefore, where I come from is based on really thinking about all 1,100 members and what value I can provide to that. And I've got to say, I understand, Marshall, the side that you're on, but I also have to think about the other side as well. And in this whole process, we have really taken that into account to know and understand that we do have members, even in our own organization, that are on both sides of this issue. So typically, as a realtor association here in the Valley, we've stayed fairly neutral. But we knew and understood that this particular issue is very important. And it's not just important for Palm Springs, it's important to our neighboring cities. And ultimately, the result is important to what could happen in the entire country in terms of this issue. So it's really important for us, and has been very important for us, to first look at it from that perspective of every single member. With that, our position is, and always has been, about private property rights. And when I talk to different members, whether they're in my association or another association, their positions come from many different parts of this industry. And that's good, and that's important. But ultimately, as a leader in an association, we have to make decisions based on what is best for the industry as it relates to private property rights. So our position always has been about two main things, and that is about the number of properties you can own and how many contracts you can have. We're not taking a position in all the other things, because those are not the most important things in terms of private property rights as an industry for us. So I do understand, Marshall, where you're coming from. But I also think about that realtor that comes to me and says, if you move forward with this petition, it's going to ruin my livelihood. And I hear that and I understand that, because I think that's really important. But I'll say to everyone here, as I said to this particular agent, is that this issue is not about value. This issue is about your right, your neighbor's right, your client's right to do three things. And number one is to live in it, to rent it, or to sell it. And if at any point that right is diminished or taken away, then it becomes very, very important to me as a leader in an association. And I think that the most difficult part about this entire process has been that it's either about one thing or the other, but not everyone is looking at the big picture here. And that is that regardless of what direction it goes in, it's going to affect someone. Whether it's positive or negative, we won't know that. So when you ask me, what will this do to our industry? It could do a variety of things. And we won't know that until it actually happens. So the main position that we must take is protect the right. That's the basis of what we do here today and every single day. And I know that at some point we all think of that, and it becomes very difficult because we're not sure what the next step is that we need to take. But I think that that's the message we need to spread here is that property rights are important. As citizens, it's important. What does it mean to Palm Springs? It means a lot of things. But it depends on who you ask. Is it the neighbor that has someone next to them that has a party house? Or is it the person that bought 2 of those homes because they needed to supplement their income? You're going to get a very different answer. I think what we're all really looking for at this point, because emotions are so high on both sides, that I think what everyone needs at this point is a solution. And for those of you who know me know that I'm a positive thinker and I'm a forward thinker. I can't change the past, but I can try and help the future, right? So what we really need to do is we got to put a lot of things into perspective at this point. The only way to move forward is to put things into perspective. And I think we'll all understand this perspective, is that as a community, we're not a retirement community anymore. Maybe it was at one point. Ultimately, we are a resort and second home community. And resort and second home communities, both here and throughout the country, attract people from different lifestyles. And I think that what perhaps the city generally has become used to is that it's an older retirement community where you come to die, and that's just not the case anymore. Because we're attracting a younger generation. And I gotta imagine that a lot of the complaints are about the younger people that are making too much noise or causing too much disruption. I don't think that the complaints are coming from the older gentleman walking across the street, tapping their cane. I don't think that that's what's happening. So, as a community, this is the suggestion I have. We need to take a step back, put into perspective, is how do we deal with different generations? What does that mean? I woke up this morning and I was on Facebook and I took about 5 minutes and I watched this video of a gentleman talking about how the younger generation behaves and why they behave that way and how it's not their fault. And that's true. But I think as a community, we can't blame the younger generation for behaving the way that they have grown up to behave. And because we're not a retirement community, is as a community, we need to begin to understand what those behaviors are and how to deal and work with them. Because if we don't, as a community, that generation is going to go away. And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a lot more younger people coming to the Coachella Valley, and I embrace it and I love it. And I think that's important. That's for a healthy future. So the answer really, Marshall, to your question today is it's not about how is it going to affect us, because we do have people on both sides of this issue. This is how do we get to a better future in regards to short-term vacation rentals.
Before we go, Jim,